Welcome to the Love Government. I'm Dennis Leary. We're doing a series of videos called Sex Cards. We are now on the 35th card in the total series of 52, as presented here in the card layout, in the form of a structure, a house, or a temple, which has 7 pillars, 7 levels up, 7 lines across, 3 cards to the top. It's a structure that we're going through in this story, in this adventure. The whole purpose of it is a type of hero or heroine's journey home. The home is up here. Along the way, we tell a story, we meet obstacles, we overcome obstacles, and in the process we become true lovers. We find out the difference between false love and true love. The 35th step then is called Love Us. All of the cards are called lover cards because it's all about, the whole emphasis is on the lover, who's all of us, symbolized, signed off as lovers. Lovers. We call it the lover and the lovers go together. This love us is a coined word, composed of love and us. Love us. Us as love. Lovers. It's a play on words. It's a sign, it's a symbol that evokes what it symbolizes. Love us. All of the cards have 2 sides. This card has 2 sides. I can turn it over. Life has 2 sides. The 2 sides of this card are called core and war. Core is a Latin word which means heart. The core, the center, the essence of who you are, or of anything, is the core of it. The picture is that of a hierophant. It's called the hierophant or hierophant. These cards are coming out of a Middle Age type of reference point. They were composed by a woman artist over 100 years ago. Came out about 1910. She was a brilliant artist. And since then they've been colored by another woman through U.S. Game Systems. This comes out of the Middle Ages, which is a type of cultural context that can stand for all of the other cultures. We need to pick one culture. So the Middle Ages is a good one because it means medieval, in the middle, between very ancient and into the future. This is an authority symbol. It's the Pope. In the religious sphere, the Pope was the authority figure in the Middle Ages. Church and state were more combined then, and the Pope was political and religious. He was the authority figure. So we're using this as an authority figure. What's the authority we're talking about? The authority we're talking about is that of love. The whole idea of the love government is to be governed by the authority of love. We tap into love as an idea. We tap into it as an experience, as a historical reality. We speak of going back to the love culture's beginning, our originating moment, our appearance in life in the Garden of Eden, which is a truthful myth, is a myth, but it has truths in it. We came from a garden experience, or a nature experience, probably in Africa, about 100,000 years ago by the Big Lake in the tropics. That was our originating moment. And then we look at that, use that as a symbol, but when we look at it in terms of the mind, we're thinking about authority. The love is the authority, the main authority, and that's symbolized by this card, which is an authority. But we don't want to get hung up on the particular culture or the picture. You have to kind of see through it. We're not talking about the Pope as such. We're just using that as a symbol for love. how can you see love then in this very, very extreme patriarchal person called the Pope? That is the interesting thing about the love government, because when you practice the principles of the love government, you get the theory more or less by listening to the information, and then there are certain practices that go along with the theory. There are 5 main ones. Use the hand as a handbook, a manual, a handy reference point. And we're going to go into those applications, which in brief are, the thumb stands for clitoral thinking, because the thumb represents the woman's clitoris as a sign, as a symbol. Then the first digital finger is the tasting finger, so that's about diet. We advocate clitoral thinking. We advocate for a healthy Eden diet. Eden vegan diet. Vegan diet, but vegan diets can be very unhealthy. They can do you a lot of harm, so we have to qualify it. We call it a healthy Eden. How did they eat in Eden? That's the idea. And the third one is animality, and that's free animality, or animalism, or animal. And there we speak about the problems of pethood, problems of abuse, animal abuse. The next finger is the ring finger here in the States, and now we talk about marriage. And there we talk about sacramental marriage, which the primary relationship is a sacrament to the lover. And then marriage is a sacred marriage to the lover first. And then we go into our specific relationships that we have. The little finger is about money. And there we speak about clean money as opposed to dirty money. That's a brief, all too brief synopsis of what the handbook idea is about. That will be spelled out later in detail. For now, we want to establish the authority of love. Let's look at this card more closely. I'm going to pick up this other one. You can look at the Hierophant card. There we have the Pope sitting on his chair of authority. It's called the chair of Peter. You can speak ex cathedra, cathedral, whatever. He speaks with authority, at least for Catholics. And then he's a patriarchal. He's pure patriarchy almost. But when you look closely, you can see the love shining through the cracks of patriarchy. So what we're going to go through into those cracks. Like Luke Skywalker found the crack in the Death Star. So he flies in there. He found the crack. So we find the crack in patriarchy. And we fly in there. Now we're not going to explode it like the movie, but we're going to reform it gently and lovingly. First thing we notice about the Pope is that he's dressed in a dress. A red dress. A red and white dress. What does that tell you? It tells you there's a woman behind the throne. Because he's dressing up as a woman. Unconsciously, he doesn't realize what's happening. So he has a white chasuble underneath and a white stool. Red and white are woman colors. Why? It references the menstrual monthly bleeding, moon period of a woman's blood, and also the white, the clear fluids that come from her vagina with sex, and her ejaculatory fluids, which are more or less like water. They're clear. So red and white is always referenced here with a patriarchal figure. So all the patriarchal men have a woman in back of them, in them, around them. The Pope is holding up 3 fingers. I think he's doing it like this. Oh yeah, these 3 fingers. The Pope is holding up 3 fingers. That's the Trinity, which was sacred to the love culture. Trinity, as we've talked about, was this triangular sign here. The pubic hair of a woman pointing down to the earth, and to her vulva is the Trinity, the original Trinity. Also, the developmental sequence of maiden, mother, and matron governing the love culture society. The Pope is holding up all kinds of threes. That's an unconscious process through which the lovesciousness comes through. The lovescious part of reality is the very basic, central part. Then comes the unconscious, then comes the conscious. But the lovesciousness is shining out through all these trinities. The Pope has a tiara, a hat on, has 3 levels. There's 3 prongs coming out the top of his tiara, or his hat. He's holding up the 3 fingers. He's holding up a wand type with 3 crossbars on it. That's another trinity. The 2 keys at the bottom make a trinity. There's 3 people in the scene. That's another trinity. The 2 pillars on his side are reference the 2-sided lover body. Her 2 arms, her 2 legs, 2 sides of her vulva. And that's another trinity. Because there's a 3rd element between the 2 pillars, always. But the difference between the 2 makes another trinity. So he's sitting on the chair. All of these trinities. What we're saying here is that the very basis of reality is love. That's the authority. It's all built on love. Love is all there is. Love makes the world go round. If you look at the popular culture, it's all about love. The songs, the movies. Or it isn't. Now here's the problem. There's a rebellion against love in order to institute a power agenda. That's called patriarchy. Patriarchy attempts to overthrow the love system and institute a power system. It overthrows this triangle at the pubic area of a woman, reverses it, comes up here, makes a spade out of it, a spade of power, and then covers it all up with a euphemized, fancy, sentimental, romantic heart up here. So it's the heart, but it's a romantic, euphemized. Underneath it is this power pyramid, covered up, glossed over, so we're fooled, we're tricked, we're caught in a patriarchal trap. And that's what's going on. That's why this card is called core, which means heart and love on one side, and it's called war on the other. Because if we don't have a culture of love, it's always going to turn into war. Because initially, it was a war against love. That's why it's called anti-love. The war system turns first of all against love. It doesn't want true love, although it flies under the flag of love falsely. It's a false flag. War starts out. And then the patriarchs will say and convince us that war has always been our state, which is a big lie. The war mentality is a big, big lie. But the lie has been told so often, so frequently, so generally, every day, every minute, is about war, 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 either directly or indirectly through the lie where it covers it up. The war started out by killing animals, and then it's led, of course, to killing the woman, bigger and bigger animals, and killing other men. And now we have a war situation where war just goes on, taken for granted, using up all our resources. But it started out as a war against animals, and we're animals. War against ourselves. So you can see what's going on. Now we have this conflict within ourselves. There's a war going on inside ourselves. And we don't know where it ever started. And we spend oodles of money, trying to recover. The recovery is basically to go directly back to love. And what that means in the love culture, which we'll spell out in the handbook, the 5 basic principles of how you practice love. But first we need to have comfortable with the theory, with the words, with the feeling of what it might be. And these cards are vehicles for that. This modern technology of videos is a vehicle for that. The words are vehicles. The meeting here is a ceremonial vehicle. So thank you for being with us. Love yourself and all others always.